The spiritual battle is coming to the West. And the enemies are wokeism or Marxism combining with Islamism to go after what we call the American way of life. And the American way of life is very simple. I want to be able to get married, buy a home, have kids, allow them to ride their bike till the sun goes down, send them to a good school, have a low crime neighborhood, not to have my kid be taught the lesbian, gay, transgender garbage in their school, while also not having them have to hear the Muslim call to prayer 5 times a day. That's important. We want the American way of life, which is, by the way, Christendom. Christians, our sacrifice, our toil, our vision, the outgrowth of the scriptures gave us Western civilization. And this is where I think is a great rallying cry. Doesn't matter if you're Hispanic, doesn't matter if you're Asian, doesn't matter if you're black or white. Everybody, if you are Christian and Jesus Christ is your Lord and Savior, these two threats are combining forces to come after us. And it's time that the church stands and rises up against it.
Yep.
لك الشرطة بوجهك يلا روح امشي عيد يوسف امشي ألف خلاص.
Now, this was a news story that they posted on their official website, the Country Herald. It states that Hickory Hills, Illinois public safety alert. Wedding parade blocks roadways. Look, first of all, look at the clip art. This was AI generated. A large wedding procession caused major traffic disruptions in Hickory Hills last month, prompting a swift police response and multiple citations, according to the Hickory Hills Police Department. Those citations were probably ripped up. And of course, it says last month because the video went viral first before they put out an official response. That's why they say last month. After reading through that article, I believe it was written by AI. It doesn't even seem like a human journalist actually sat down and wrote that out. What they're doing right now is they're flexing on our nation. They're saying, we're here. We don't have to abide by your laws. Pay attention to what they're doing. They're not scared. They don't look nervous. They're sitting there with their chests out. We're here to take over and we're not going to abide by your laws because we see that there's weakness in your nations and we're going to take over. So this is a video clip from Hamburg, Germany. This was supposed to be a Christmas celebration, and we have Muslims who gathered and they're protesting against Christianity and Christmas.
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله.
Now, even here in Hamburg, Germany, you see the Muslims are taking over, once again, with no regard to local laws that have already been established. Because they utilize taqiyya, they'll advocate for all minority group protections. But now that they're becoming the majority and they're competing with the majority natives, they can start disregarding their laws, their customs, their practices, and imposing theirs. But what happens when we make fun of them? What happens when we push back and start hazing Muslims the way they do Christians here in America or in Western Europe?
After the prayer ended, we look up to see them taunting us in our faces with bacon. I had to relive the whole thing again.
You heard that, guys. They were taunting him with bacon. He cries and he states, I had to relive the whole thing again. How horrific. Somebody ate bacon, taunted you with bacon in front of you. That was horrible. But here they are, flexing in American cities, in Western European cities, completely disregarding the laws, being a nuisance, not caring about who they're interrupting, to flex on us, to show us what's to come. But here, somebody's taunting him with bacon. Because this is a grown man crying, I don't actually believe he wanted to cry. I believe he's doing what they're supposed to be doing, which is playing on the emotions of Westerners. They know that American liberals, Western European liberals, they always cling to the, we need to protect minority groups. We need, of course, to utilize our strengths to protect them because they're just innocent little minorities. Liberals always fall for these tricks, and they know that. That's why liberals are useful idiots to them. But you know what? That's not even the craziest part. This whole Muslim taking over Western Europe and America thing is taking on new heights. Not only are they disregarding our laws and our practices, now they're claiming that American history belongs to them. They're saying they discovered our nation first. Muslims came here before Columbus did and discovered the nation of America first. Don't take my word for it. Listen to this.
This might shock you, but after Muslims discovered the Americas, many of the Cherokee indigenous people accepted Islam. In 2004, Harvard graduate and U.S. ambassador Dr. Crane, who came from a long line of Muslim Cherokees, published a story about this part of his family's history in the American Muslim magazine. Dr. Crane said that many Cherokees practiced Islam for centuries before Columbus entered the Americas. They called out public adhans, prayed 5 times a day, and the women wore a hijab. Their community was disrupted by European colonizers who viewed the Muslim Cherokee natives as a threat. The U.S. government even abolished the religious practices of Cherokees in 1905, imprisoning anyone caught praying Salah in public. Many Cherokees were forced to hide their beliefs to survive, even until about 50 years ago. Unfortunately, more than 100 million natives have been wiped off the planet once the Spaniards arrived in the Americas, because they declared the natives their enemy. Until date, this is one of the biggest acts of cruelty against humanity that has ever taken place, and these practices continue to take place today. And it's up to us to share their story. Tap the like button and share this if you agree.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Muslims from Africa who came here to the Americas before Columbus. That's a fact. That's a fact.
Did you know that there were Muslims in Australia before the Europeans actually came and invaded Australia?
Islam was here in Britain before England was around. There was no such thing as England by the 8th century or the 9th century.
Migrated across the Bering Straits into Alaska and Canada. And amongst the First Nation people, we say indigenous people, was Tawheed.
Oh, you are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
Did Muslims discover America before Columbus? Everyone talks about Columbus discovering America in 1492. But what if I told you, Muslim explorer named Kashkash ibn Said sailed there 400 years earlier. In 889 AD, Kashkash reportedly set sail from Andalusia, Spain. He crossed the Atlantic, reached the Americas, and returned with treasures and stories. Could history be hiding the secret? Why don't you know about Kashkash? When Kashkash ibn Said crossed the Atlantic in 889 AD, he didn't just explore new land. He met the people who lived there. The Native Americans welcomed him, traded goods, and shared knowledge. Some Arab texts even describe dark-skinned people with feathered crowns. Did this meeting really happen? Or was it erased from history? Why don't we learn about Kashkash ibn Said in school? Because this story doesn't fit the Western narrative. Imagine admitting an Arab Muslim discovered America 600 years before Columbus. Some say European powers buried these stories to keep control of the narrative. But now we're bringing it back, one truth at a time.
This might shock you. Muslims did not discover America.
Emotional, damn it!
In fact, there are no archaeological findings that actually ever prove this claim to be true. If Muslims lived here 600 years before Columbus did, there would be an abundance of archaeological findings that can prove the claims that you guys lived here, settled here, but absolutely nothing has ever been discovered. This sort of recidivist history can only be found from Muslims because when they're ready to conquer a nation, they have no problem lying and establishing their fake recidivist history that will replace true American and Western European history. They want you to believe Muslims were here in the US. They want you to believe Muslims were in Australia, in Europe, before the British were. Absolutely insane. Guys, this religion is part of the Great Deception. Wherever they are found in large numbers, they will do this exact same thing. They will, of course, play victim as minorities, wait till they achieve a numerical majority, then they will start to impose their laws, disregard original practices that existed here first, take over government, take over education, and before you know it, they'll be imposing the jizya, which will be the Christian and Jew tax, meaning, if you're not familiar with this, once they establish their one world caliphate, Jews and Christians will either have to convert into Islam, or if you don't convert into Islam, you will have to pay the tax. The Christians and Jews are by default second-class citizens. They will not be allowed to have authority over Muslims. They will never ever be allowed to rise up within society. They will always be second-class citizens into perpetuity, or they will be deleted, plain and simple. You will have to convert, be deleted, or spend the rest of your life as a bottom tier in Islamic societies. This is the future for us. So liberals continue to be useful idiots, thinking it's a big kumbaya that they just need our protection. They're here to conquer. Be ready for that. So with that being said, you guys let me know your thoughts down below. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We need to continue to stand up for Christian values. We need to pray and fast that Christ will protect our land. We need to pray, and we need to, of course, spread the gospel to as many people as possible. If you haven't noticed, guys, we're currently ruled by our enemies, people that hate us. We have all these either liberal or rainbow community members who, for some strange reason, always get these jobs as mayors, governors. You get a lot of Muslims getting jobs as mayors and governors. So we have the top of the liberal hierarchy ruling over us. You have Muslims, they rule over us. They all hate a common enemy, and that's Christians. So you guys continue to pray, continue to spread the gospel. Remember, Christ is King. Deuces.